Good evening. No fooling. It is April 1st, and this is the Findlay City Council's regular meeting. My name is Grant Russell, President Pro Tem. Council President Harrington informed us late this afternoon that he is under the weather, hence I'm on this side, and Mr. Greeno has a lot of space over on his side of the office, or the room. We'll start tonight's meeting with roll call.
Mr. Ballman.
Here.
Mr. DeArmond.
Here.
Ms. Frishy. Here. Mr. Greeno.
Here.
Mr. Hellman.
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Mr. Russell.
Here.
Ms. Warnicki.
Here.
And Mr. Wobser.
And Mr. Wobser informed us that a few days ago that he would be in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight, right now, with Tilly Abbott, who is, I believe, a freshman at Findlay High School. She is competing in the YMCA National Swimming Championships down in Greensboro. Jeff asked to be excused. Mr. Ballman, second. Mr. Palmer, all in and also add Mr. Harrington to the excusing list. All in favor of excusing Jeff and John, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and they are excused. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. We have our March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes to be approved. Motion, Mr. Palmer. Second, Mr. Ballman. Any changes? Mr. Law Director.
Did have a change. I guess on what would be page 13 towards the top. There's a line that the right of first refusal for the Kirk Realty Company was executed in 1986. That should be 1951.
So we'll move to, for the folks that moved, would you accept the changes? Same. So all in favor of accepting the minutes with the change that Rob mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, and the minutes are accepted. Mr. DeArmond, add-ons, replacements, and removals from the agenda.
So I'll make a motion for 2 add-ons and 1 replacement. So the add-ons, we have a letter from City Engineer Kolb, FDY Airport Master Plan, project number 3524-3500, FAA grant application, reports of municipal officers and municipal departments section. The second one is ordinance number 2025-042, FDY Airport Master Plan, project number 3524-3500, FAA grant application legislation section. The replacement is, we have ordinance 2025-34, Han Western and Sandusky NSPID 100-233, project number 3285-2700, legislative section. Do I need to read all of this?
Nope.
Good. That's my motion.
We have a motion, second, Mr. Palmer. Discussion. All in favor of the add-ons and replacements to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, and the agenda has been amended. Proclamations. The mayor's voice is still recovering from the flu, so unfortunately for y'all, I get to read proclamations tonight, but this is a good one. I'm excited, Barb. Good to see you again this year. This is a proclamation by Mayor Christina M. Mern, Findlay, Ohio, for Parkinson's Awareness Month. Whereas Parkinson's disease affects 1 million people in the United States, it is the second most common neurodegenerative disease. It is believed to be caused by a combination of genetics and environmental factors and is a leading cause of death according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And whereas it is estimated that Parkinson's costs the United States $58 billion every year, of which the federal government shoulders $29 billion, leaving American families to cover the remaining $29 billion every year. It is estimated that by the year 2037, the number of people with Parkinson's in the U.S. will nearly double, and the disease will cost the United States at least $79 billion every year. And whereas the symptoms of Parkinson's disease can include movement issues such as balance, slowness in gait, freezing in place, speech and handwriting difficulties, and non-movement symptoms of depression, dementia, and cognitive impairment, speech difficulties, losing the sense of smell and taste, and swallowing challenges, and a variety of other symptoms. And whereas numerous clinical drug trials and research by the Michael J. Fox Foundation, the Parkinson's Foundation, and the Davis Phinney Foundation, and others are working hand in hand with federal and state efforts to identify causes of Parkinson's in an effort to one day prevent Parkinson's disease. And whereas more research and increased education and awareness and community support services are needed to find better treatments and a cure, as well as maintaining dignity for those living with the disease today. Now, therefore, Christina M. Mern, Mayor of the City of Findlay, Ohio, does hereby proclaim April 2025 as Parkinson's Awareness Month in Findlay, Ohio, and encourages citizens to increase their understanding of the disease and support people living with Parkinson's. Mayor, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, I apologize. I can't read it all. It's so I don't start coughing uncontrollably. But certainly this is something close to my heart, as my grandmother passed away from Parkinson a couple years ago. But I'd like to have Barb come up, and I know you have some communications related to Parkinson's Awareness Month, and then we will present the proclamation, if that's okay with you.
Good evening, Mayor Marin. Okay. Can you hear me okay? All right. Council members and everyone else here in attendance, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Barb Matheny, and I am the founder and president of the Hancock County Parkinson's Network. It is an honor to stand here before you as we recognize April as Parkinson's Awareness Month. Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disorder that affects nearly 1 million people just in the United States. It impacts movement, balance, and coordinations, and its symptoms can be debilitating. For many people with Parkinson's, the struggle is not just physical, it's also emotional and mental. That's why raising awareness is so important. The more we understand the disease, the better equipped we are to support those who live with it day in and day out, to help ensure that they feel heard, seen, and empowered. Since the inception of the Hancock County Parkinson's Network in 2023, I've been amazed by the outpouring of support from our community. The work we're doing is only possible because of the dedication and generosity of so many. We've seen businesses, local organizations, and individuals come together to provide resources, support, and most importantly, awareness. Together, we are making a difference in the lives of those affected by Parkinson's disease. One of the most visible symbols of our efforts this year will be a sea of red tulips that are beginning to come up and will be in bloom soon. These tulip bulbs were sold to raise awareness for Parkinson's disease and to raise funds for the ongoing work of our network. The tulip, a symbol of hope, serves as a reminder of the resilience of those living with Parkinson's and the community support that surrounds them. We're so grateful for the participation of everyone who has supported this initiative, and hopefully everyone else who planted them will have better luck, because the rabbits ate all mine. There's one little area that they didn't touch. I'd like to personally also invite you to join us for the second annual Parkinson's Empower Walk on April 26th at 50 North from 10 till 1. It will be an event to empower individuals living with Parkinson's disease, to honor their caregivers, and to continue raising awareness and funds for this important cause. The walk will feature a variety of activities, resource tables, and opportunities to connect with others in the community. Whether you walk or simply show your support, your presence makes a difference. Thank you again so much for your support, your time, and your commitment to raising awareness for Parkinson's disease in our community. Together, we can continue to make strides in supporting those who need it the most. And I hope to see you all on April 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. And I just want to note that out of the generosity from a couple of city employees, there are tulips planted around many of the Welcome to Findlay signs throughout the community. And hopefully my mom's tulips that I planted for her have not all been eaten as well. But we will present the proclamation again, recognizing Parkinson's Awareness Month in the city of Findlay for April 2025.
Thank you.
Too close. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
What do we got? All right.
Barb, and for all your friends that are here supporting you, thank you so much for being here. Do appreciate it. I know last year the Parkinson's Walk at 50 North was fantastic. It was great to be there and see all the support for our for folks with Parkinson's. And so that's April 26th from 10 to 1 at 50 North. And we look forward to having a big crowd again. Thank you.
All right.
And folks, you don't have to stay for the rest of it unless you want to. Do appreciate it. We'll move on to retirements, recognitions for retirements, and we have two tonight. The first one is for Michael McKittrick, resolution number 11, 2025. A resolution commending Michael McKittrick for the excellence of his services to the city of Findlay, Ohio. Whereas Michael McKittrick, who served the city of Findlay, Ohio for 35 years as a dedicated, loyal employee, retired effective February 7th. Mike began his career in the Public Works Department as a street maintenance worker 1 on November 13th, 1989. He was promoted to street maintenance worker 2 on January 16th, 1993, before being promoted to street maintenance worker 3 on April 2, 1997, changing his title to Public Maintenance Mechanic 3 on January 3, 2026, a position he has held until his retirement. And whereas Mike was recognized by Resolution 039-2012 during the August 21, 2012 City Council meeting for actions he took during and after a severe windstorm occurring on June 29, 2012. And whereas in 2021, Mike was nominated for the John E. Seaman John E. Seaman Employee Excellence Award for his dedication and hard work within the city's Public Works Department for over 30 years. And whereas Mike is known for his hobby of raising honeybees, allowing him to provide honey to all of the Public Works employees, and whereas during his 35 years of service to the city of Findlay, Ohio, Mike has performed as an outstanding public servant in a loyal and dedicated manner to the citizens of the city of Findlay through his responsibilities within the city of Findlay Public Works Department. Now, there it be resolved by the Council of the City of Findlay, State of Ohio, Section 1, that the said Michael McKittrick be and is hereby commended for his long and loyal service to the city, and that this council extends its best wishes to him upon his retirement from the city of Findlay. And Section 2, that this resolution will take effect and be in full force at its earliest period as provided by law. That is the resolution. Do we have a motion? Mr. Palmer, a motion, a second by Mr. Greeno and Hellman and Ballman and DeArmond. Thank you, one and all. Discussion on the resolution, seeing as though there is none at this time. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frischi.
Aye.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
And Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
I believe it is unanimous. Mike, you got to keep bringing in the honey, though. That's what I'm expecting everybody in Public Works is saying. Mayor?
Yeah, so Mike, please come forward so we can present this, and then I would like all of the Public Works employees and other City of Findlay employees that would like to be a part of a photo. We'll do that immediately following my presentation of the proclamation, but I just want to say, Mike, you will be dearly missed. Your expertise and unmatched mechanical skills, we really appreciate you passing as much of that on as you can. But I'm sure you'll be getting some phone calls, but we really appreciate all of your years of service to the City of Findlay as an entity, but to the community at large. So congratulations on your retirement. We'll really miss you.
He's got a big smile on his face.
Everybody else, Dave, yes, photo, come on up.
Be half the room.
All right, all in.
You might as well stay up there because Brad Boyce is
Can we keep you on standby for the flooding this week? You might be helping neighbors, yeah.
I don't.
I do not.
There's another one, right?
And one more, we have resolution number 12, 2025, this one for John Brad Boyce. A resolution commending John Brad Boyce for the excellence of his services to the city of Findlay, Ohio. Whereas Brad Boyce, who served the city of Findlay, Ohio for 35 years as a dedicated, loyal employee, retired effective March 31st, 2025. Brad began his career in the Public Works Department as a street maintenance worker 1 on April 1, 1990. He transferred to the Traffic Sign Shop Department as a street maintenance worker 1 on December 22nd, 1991, then transferred back to the Streets Department as a street maintenance worker 2 on April 2, 1999, before being promoted to street maintenance worker 3 on January 14th, 2007. He then became a Public Works Maintenance Worker 6 on January 3rd, 2016, then Streets Public Works Foreman 1 on December 17th, 2017, before transferring to the Parks Maintenance Department as a Public Works Foreman 1 on December 31st, 2021, a position he held until his retirement. And whereas Brad was recognized by Resolution 039-2112 2012 during the August 21st, 2012 City Council meeting for actions he took during and after a severe windstorm occurring on June 29, 2012. And whereas in 2018, Brad was nominated for the John E. Seaman Employee Excellence Award for his then 28 years of dedication and hard work within the city's Public Works Department. And whereas Brad contributed to numerous United Way campaigns, and whereas during his 35 years of service to the city of Findlay, Brad has performed as an outstanding public servant in a loyal and dedicated manner to the citizens of Findlay through his responsibilities within the City of Findlay Public Works Department. Now there be it resolved that by the city by the Council of the City of Findlay, State of Ohio, Section 1, that the said John Brad Boyce be and is hereby commended for his long and loyal service to his city, and that this city council extends its best wishes to him upon his retirement from the city of Findlay. And Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law. That is a resolution. Do we have a motion to approve? Mr. Guarino, second by, we'll go with Mr. Hellman, Palmer, DeArmond, and Ballman. And we'll have comments afterwards, a voice vote on approval of Resolution 12, 2025.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. Mayor.
So, first of all, I should have just had you all stay up here for the photo. I apologize. You're getting your steps in. But Brad, I don't know who this John person is. Brad, I'm so grateful. And earlier today, we had the John Siemens Award and recognition of years of service for the City of Findlay employees. And you heard in both of these resolutions the years of service that they brought and dedication to our community. And I just want to recognize that these are the unsung heroes of running our city. And they do such a wonderful job and are so dedicated and take such pride in the work that they do every day. And I'm really proud to be able to be a part of the City of Findlay team, but I'm so incredibly grateful that I have such wonderful people that I get to work with. And I know that you all recognize it, but I just want to take this opportunity as we recognize these two retirements. I always tell them I'm sad to see them go, but that's exactly what they have worked for. You know, we work to live and not live to work. So they certainly deserve it, but they are also going to be very much missed. So, Brad, if you can come forward, we'll present the proclamation, and then we'll also have everybody come forward to do a group photo.
All right.
I thought you guys all had to stay. Wasn't that part of the deal? Have a good
They
evening,
might be
gentlemen.
working
Thank
this
you.
Yeah. That's good, though. That's nice.
That is a good start to our meeting. On to petitions. And a quick note, the next two petitions reference an April 10th, 2025 City Planning Commission and Planning and Zoning Committee meetings. Those meetings got rescheduled for April 17th, 2025. So in both of the next two resolutions, April 10th is out, April 17th is in. And we'll roll on to petitions.
The Weaver 6434 County Road 18 annexation, the documents from the Hancock County Commissioner's Office have been in the office of the city clerk for the required 60 days and are now ready to be referred to the City Planning Commission and Planning and Zoning April 17th meeting, as well as the Barfell Hobart Avenue annexation.
We'll move those to City Planning Commission and Planning and Zoning Committee for their April 17th meeting.
Reports to municipal officers.
Pardon? No, did you do
I said as well as.
Oh, okay. Oh, we did both of them. Yay, Denise. Roll on to reports of municipal officers and municipal departments.
Treasurer's Reconciliation Report for February 28th, 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
City Planning Commission agenda for April 17th, 2025.
Discussion. Agenda to be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding 2025 annual street resurfacing and curb repairs, project number 328-50300.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding water master plan, project number 357-43400.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding Moracle Water Line Replacement Phase 1, project number 357-44600.
Questions or comments? Ms. Frischie?
Just a quick question, Jeremy. With the Moracle Boulevard, are we running water line on Lima Avenue?
Yes, that's phase 2.
Okay, so it says Moracle.
Yes, so that's why it's phase
the
1.
looping of it.
Yep.
So it's not the whole length, it's just up
It-
towards the west.
So we broke it up because of the OPW funding. So we broke it up. So phase 1 and then phase 2 we're going to bid out this summer.
Perfect.
Other questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director, wait a minute. Yeah, Martin regarding EMA service contract renewal.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding insurance payment for repairs to a desiccant, did I say that right? Dehumidifier at the Cube.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Director of Law Feigner regarding ordinance numbers 2025-39 and 2025-40.
Questions or comments? Ms. Frischie?
Rob, on those two ordinances, when I read them, I didn't really see the word that we talked about, farm animals being included. Is it just that it's broadening it enough and that it's going to include it, or did I miss the wording between the two ordinances? When I didn't know if we talk about it now or later. But.
In the first one, in order and agenda that's regarding definitions, 2025-039. What I,
Okay,
what-
but it specifically said, I didn't think it did, so.
what we did there is added a definition in the amended section of domestic animal. And that is a broad definition that would include all sorts of things that we think is, whether they're farm animals, a cat, those kind of things.
I figured it was broadening it.
And
but I just wanted to
that's the
clarify.
amendment to that section. Matter of fact, we never did have a definition for domestic animal. And that was one of the things that we did
Yes,
there.
I saw that. Yep, thank you.
Mr. DeArmond?
Since we're talking about this, Rob, can you talk about the different levels of this? This is a dangerous dog, but there's also a vicious dog category, and kind of what the law is around the different categories.
So in the ordinance 2025-040, which is the dogs or animals running at large, what we did there is we changed the penalty section when a dog at large causes harm to persons, domestic animals, that's why we have that definition now, and or personal property. What we did not change, and what was still okay in my eyes, in the dog warden's eyes and so forth, is there are particular sections addressing when nuisance dogs do something while running at large, while dangerous dogs do something while running at large, and when vicious dogs do something when running at large. Those definitions and those penalties are satisfactory to me and to the folks that were involved in this review. What we did change was, the very first time out of the gate that a dog does something that causes harm to persons, property, or domestic animals, that we have upped the penalty immediately, and also per the dog warden's request, would more in a much faster mode give it the dangerous dog label, which is what his job is to do. It's a It's an assignment that he gives. It's a piece of paper he gives to the dog owner. He keeps it filed away. It triggers the liability insurance and other things that the owner would have to do. And one of the important questions that was asked of Lynette Snyder was, how does he enforce that or check up on it? And in my meeting with him, in fact, he does. He keeps those on file, and he'll go back and check if the owner still has the dog. Do they in fact have those requirements? So those things were left unchanged because they seem to be satisfactory. What we've changed is the good old first time that a dog gets out, does something really bad, it needs to be addressed. The judges need to have more choices for penalties. So it gives them the ability to listen to the facts of the case, or a prosecutor in a pretrial situation to have more options for sentencing when we get to the facts. Prior to this, it was a fine of up to $150, which they could post a bond and never set foot in the courthouse. And we just can't have that. And that was approved by Lynette Snyder, who I know is here tonight. If there's any questions for her, but her and I have met on several occasions. And as my cover letter indicates, these amendments were approved by her.
So there are 4 definitions to dogs then? Like you have this dangerous and a vicious and a, is that what I understand?
Well, you could say technically 4. One dog that doesn't have a definition yet, but then you progress to danger or nuisance, you progress to dangerous, you progress to vicious.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Add-on letter from City Engineer Calb regarding FDY Airport Master Plan Project Number 35243500 FAA grant application.
Questions or comments, Ms. Frischie?
Jeremy, we haven't really had a review, or at least I haven't heard any updates on the master plan. Can you give us specifics on what this section is, or where we are in the master plan as a whole?
So this is applying for grant funds from the FAA for them to cover 95% of it. Normally we send in a pre-application, but they actually want us to send it in before the May 1st deadline for a full application. So we haven't started anywhere on the master plan itself because we're still waiting to get funding from FAA to fund it. So this is to apply for, accept, and that way we can execute those grant documents. And the amounts are listed in the
Yes.
letter.
Other questions? Letter be filed. Committee reports.
The Water and Sewer Committee met on March 19th, 2025 to review water rules and sewer rules with the inclusion of the procedures for instituting utility billing rate changes. We recommend adoption of updated water rules and sewer rules, which will include the new processes for instituting rate changes.
Mr. Palmer?
Move to adopt the committee report.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Make a real quick comment about the updated water and sewer rules. After the last water rate increase, I believe that was 2023, Council asked that the Water and Sewer Committee look at establishing processes and procedures for future utility rate changes. With the proposed water rules and sewer rules that are in front of you, the Water and Sewer Committee has completed that request. These rules take into account statutory requirements that are set forth in Ohio Revised Code, which actually differ for water and sewer utilities. The process the committee is proposing follows the same basic framework, with only the final implementation of rate changes differing because of Ohio Revised Code. At a high level, that framework is as follows. Step 1, a review with the Water and Sewer Committee and the administration of each of our utilities' financial performances. So that's water, sewer, and stormwater. That will occur in the third quarter of each year, and at which time any suggested rate changes would be presented to the committee. The Water and Sewer Committee will make a recommendation for each utility to the full council for any rate changes or a decision to keep rates unchanged. The full council then may weigh in on the recommendations of the Water and Sewer Committee, and if rate changes are necessary, they would be made via legislation for the sewer and stormwater, and or by the Service Safety Director for the Water Fund per Ohio Revised Code. We followed this process in 2024, kind of gave it a run through, having that Water and Sewer Committee meeting. And although we ended up, there was no recommended rate changes. We will be following the same process this year with the Water and Sewer Committee meeting expected to be in mid-December. So the full council can expect to see a Water and Sewer Committee report with 3 recommendations on the agenda at the first meeting in October. Other questions or comments on the committee report? Mr. Stasiak.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to attend that meeting. And since then, I had a little bit of a lengthy conversation with a municipal advisor. During that meeting, I had made some comments with regard to any proposed rate changes that in a pro forma that is adopted or considered as part of those rate changes that would go beyond 1 year, and you should, with regard to issuing debt. Typically, your pro forma is going to need to go out 10 years for debt issuance, and that's common, and we're going to get asked for that even if we don't have one. But in speaking with the municipal advisor, he concurred with my recommendation that we need to make sure that that pro forma does not show any unlikely numbers on there, like placeholders for debt, for example, or that it always needs to be positive or a ending balance on every year in the performance that shows the rates are going to be implemented successfully. Because the simplest way to put it is, if we do go out for debt and we have a 10-year pro forma that shows we don't meet our minimum requirements, or that it has a negative balance and likely will need an additional rate increase, basically you would be saying to the people looking at our debt that, hey, we want to borrow money, but we're showing we won't have the ability to pay it down the road. So when you propose a rate increase, for example, if you propose increases for 25, and it's likely you will need them for 26, 27, or 28, you need to include projected proposals as part of that pro forma. And I just want to make sure that's on the record, that it's clear, and that all council members and the administration are aware of it.
Other discussion, Ms. Frischie.
Will we get this as an ordinance as well, or will the committee report adopt these changes?
When you say this, are you talking the
Committee
water and
report
sewer?
that we're on?
The water and sewer, or the
Correct.
water and sewer rules. So I was just discussing with Rob, and we'll have a vote on the committee report. If that is accepted, then we'll turn to an adoption of the water rules and an adoption of the sewer rules. So we'll just do them one right after the other, so we can have a specific vote on those 2 sets of rules.
So no legislation, we're just gonna
Correct.
take it. That's
Yeah.
what I need.
Yes. Other discussion? With that, we have a motion to accept the committee report, and it has been seconded. All in favor of accepting the committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The committee report is accepted. Now we'll look for at the water rules. So the major change in the water rules was the inclusion of the language for the review process. Any discussion on the proposed water rules, Ms. Frischie?
I guess my comment on it is what it's gonna be is, so this is making the safety service director responsible for water rate increases. But really, the committee, it's a courtesy that we're doing, right? We're not, even if the committee doesn't agree with the safety service director with raising of water rates, we, council, have no control. Is that true, clarified, Rob?
So, if I may, the rules are just citing the Ohio Revised Codes process. This language is not, we're not making it up. We're just citing the ORC that gives the service director the authority to do it. So for water rates, the water rates specifically.
The committee actually also discussed this in detail, and the thought of the committee is that it would be a pretty difficult political thing for the service safety director reporting to the mayor to make a water rate change without council being on board. And this simply puts it all out there that there will be a a committee report from Water and Sewer. Then then full council weighs in on that committee report. And if the service safety director chooses to go a different direction from those recommendations, they do so at their own risk, so to speak. Mayor.
You are correct, Councilwoman, that the service safety director has the ultimate authority. And when we've discussed it, obviously it's always beneficial to have council support so that the community understands the necessity. Sorry, I sound like I've smoked a lot of cigarettes, which I don't do, I promise. But ultimately, when we've discussed it, it comes down to, under Ohio law, you have to have a balanced fund, as the auditors just stated. And the service safety director, though obviously a mayoral appointee, and ultimately any political blowback lands on the mayor, is that we have to balance these funds. And even if council doesn't want to have the political wherewithal, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't in the future, you would have to make the adjustment regardless. And so we believe that it's still important to keep that authority within the service safety director's purview, because ultimately we have a responsibility to make sure people have safe drinking water. And whether council wants to take that political lift or not, that is what we would have to do.
Ms. Frishy.
I guess I agree with you, Mayor. That's not where I'm at. Part of the reason that this went to committee is because my opinion and a lot of the public's opinion on the Ohio Revised Code, it says the safety service director, when it also says multiple other entities can also make the water rate increase. So I just wanted to be clear on the record that it sits with the safety service director. We have no control, politically or not. And if we wanted control and we wanted to do this jointly, then it should have included city council's name alongside the safety service director, and then vice versa. If the administration wanted to have equal say as working as a partnership, we should have had safety service director or the administration along with city council to raise sewer rates. And that's all I want on the record.
Other comments? Seeing as though there is no other comments, all in favor of adopting these water rules, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
And Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
The water rules are adopted. Sewer rules. The major changes with the sewer rules, once again, the rate change process got added in, and also there was a lot of cleanup to the sewer rules, making sure that they were germane specifically to the sewer and stormwater utilities versus some language that was held over that looked like it was more akin or attuned to the water utilities. Some formatting changes, but really the main gist of the functional changes was the addition of the rate change process. Questions or motion to accept, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the sewer rules.
Mr. DeArmond, second. Mr. Ballman, discussion. Seeing as though there is none, all of those in favor of approving the sewer rules, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
The sewer rules are adopted. On to legislation. Ordinance 2022 and 23 will be taken care of under unfinished business. On to ordinance 2025-026.
Third reading for ordinance 2025-26, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ballman,
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-026.
Second, Mr. Palmer. Discussion. Seeing as though there is none, all those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-026, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Third reading for ordinance 2025-29, and ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Palmer?
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-29.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Discussion. Ms. Frishy?
Just curious, I don't know if Rob, Safety Service Director Rob, what kind of issues, police calls and so forth are happening when we go under that bridge area? Is there a lot going on with safety concerns that we're extending this? Not that I'm saying we shouldn't finish it out, I'm just asking.
We are not experiencing major calls at this time that I'm aware of, but we are taking preventative measures with security cameras and additional lighting and things like that to heighten the security. So
And then the homeless issue is under control there?
I have not. I've actually been in contact with a couple of our enforcement officers, and we haven't been experiencing a high volume. No.
Mr. Kalb?
Now, I don't want the notion being the only reason we're doing this is because there was safety concern. We built this path for the use, and
Exactly.
I just want to make sure that was clear.
I just want it to be that,
Okay.
that it's still safe for people to use it once we put the use in.
Right, I
That's all
I wanted that to be
clear.
clear. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
We're on
And
the
with-
same page.
With the things that we're putting in place, those were intentional because of mitigating that risk.
Other discussion? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-029, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
And sorry, Ms. Warnicki?
I fairly felt left out on that, but
I saved the best for last.
And the ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-32, and ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into contracts for construction of various projects in accordance with the 2025 department equipment list, appropriating and transferring funds for said capital expenditures, and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2025-33. An ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
This is an insurance payment that we are going to take and put to good use. This is something we generally suspend rules for. Therefore, I make the motion that council statutory rules be suspended and ordinance 2025-033 be given its third reading. Second, Ms. Warnicki. You have a motion to suspend. All in favor of the motion to suspend, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended and this ordinance will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2025-33.
Mr. Hellman.
Move to approve ordinance 2025-033.
Second, Mr. DeArmond. Discussion. Ms. Frishy.
Was this ordinance, not the reason we didn't pass it last time, are we not also moving city funds to replace the vehicle because we were short on funds? Isn't that why we were waiting on that, or am I misremembering?
Mr. Martin.
The insurance reimbursement for this does not cover the replacement.
Correct.
So there is money for the total cost of
So
the
this-
replacement.
So the
Yes.
suspension of the rules, the reason we didn't do it at the first ordinance is because we are moving city dollars. It's not just insurance funds.
Correct.
Thanks.
Other discussion. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-033, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy,
Aye.
Mr. Greeno,
Aye.
and Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-34 as amended. An ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Next.
First reading for ordinance 2025-35, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-36, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into contracts with Arcadis U.S. Inc. for the Water Master Plan Project Number 357-43400, appropriating funds thereto and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-37, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-38, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into a contract with Hancock County Emergency Management Agency to maintain an emergency operation plan that will encompass all political subdivisions of Hancock County, pursue a professional development training program, and coordinate the emergency management activities of all the political subdivisions according to the duties and requirements of Section 5502.27 of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Frishy.
I make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 2025-038.
Second, Mr. Palmer. We have a motion to suspend rules and give this ordinance its second and third reading. All in favor of suspension, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer,
Aye.
Mr. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Russell,
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki,
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond,
Aye.
Mr. Ballman,
Aye.
Ms. Frishy,
Aye.
Mr. Greeno,
Aye.
and Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its second and third reading.
Ordinance 2025-38, ordinance 2025-38.
Ms. Frishy.
Motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Greeno. Discussion. Ms. Frishy.
The reason I made the motion to suspend the rules is we need to be in contract with the EMA, especially since we're talking about a lot of water maybe coming. So we are teamed up.
Other discussion. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-038, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Russell,
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki,
Aye.
Mr. Ballman,
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond,
Aye.
Ms. Frishy,
Aye.
Mr. Greeno,
Aye.
Mr. Hellman,
Aye.
and Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
First reading for ordinance 2025-39, an ordinance amending municipal code section 505.001 of the codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Definitions. First reading for ordinance 2025-41, an ordinance appropriating funds and, I missed 40, didn't I?
Nope, you did it.
Oh.
No, yeah, 41, or 40 is next.
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry about that. First reading for ordinance 2025-40, an ordinance amending municipal code section 505.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Dogs and Other Animals Running at Large. First reading for ordinance 2025-41, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Warnicki.
I would move to suspend the rules on this since it's just moving insurance funds from one account to the other.
Second, Mr. Ballman. We have a motion and a second to suspend council statutory rules and give this ordinance its second and third reading. All those in favor of suspension, please say aye if your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Russell,
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki,
Aye.
Mr. Ballman,
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond,
Aye.
Ms. Frishy,
Aye.
Mr. Greeno,
Aye.
Mr. Hellman,
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer,
Aye.
and Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its second and third reading.
Ordinance 2025-41, ordinance 2025-41.
Ms. Warnicki.
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-41.
Second, Mr. DeArmond. Discussion. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-041, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye. The ordinance is adopted.
Add-on ordinance number 2025-42. An ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to apply for and execute the necessary grant applications and agreements to receive grant funds from the Federal Aviation Administration for the FDY Airport Master Plan, project number 35243500, and declaring an emergency.
Unfinished business? Unfinished business.
Ordinance number 2025-22 had its third reading at the March 18th meeting, was postponed till this meeting. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute the attached transfer agreement as it pertains to the transfer of real estate owned by the Board of Hancock County Commissioners to the city of Findlay and accepting the related deed for same, said real estate being located east of North Main Street, west of Jefferson Street, north of Clinton Court, and south of Center Street.
Well, I am personally unsure if we made a motion to approve before postponing this. I'll entertain a motion to approve at this time. Mr. Palmer.
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-22.
Second, Ms. Warnicki. Discussion. Ms. Frishy.
Did we get the revenue situation figured out that we did not have it coming in on the one parcel? And I might be on the wrong ordinance now that I look at it. Nope, I'm on the right one, I think. No, I'm on the wrong one. I'm backwards. But
It doesn't matter. We'll just talk about them both, and hopefully nobody will yell at me. So the auditor was able to clarify what he was looking for. So we did stop collecting revenue from the county for their portion of the lease agreement in 2023. We have an MOU in place. Per the law director at this point in time, we don't believe that we needed any ordinance from city council authorizing that because it's an administrative function. However, if they work through it, if there's anything that we need to document that, we'll certainly work with you all. But that was an agreement that the administration made for that. To be clear, when we look back at the last couple of years, there was not a significant drop in the revenue that was collected from those. The county had been paying a small fee for some additional spots in Lot H. That revenue was not collected when they started construction on the new judicial building. We do have documentation of that. When we look forward at the revenue from additional leases that the city has on those parking spots, I did speak with the commissioners. They want to honor those agreements, and so we will work through the details of if the city continues, because we have a couple of leases on those spots that people have actually already prepaid, like through the early next year. So we will work with them. They want to honor that. They don't want to, mess anybody up that is using those. So we're going to look at either just continuing those through the time that people have paid, or potentially also look at the city continuing to lease those spots out, managing the enforcement, which we will continue to do. As the law director stated, the city will, just as we do on other county lots in the city, we will patrol those. We will collect the fines. If we continue to lease spots out, the city will look at entering into an agreement and will come to you all, if appropriate, to lease those out and then potentially split revenue with the county. They are not necessarily going to need to utilize all of the spots in H&I while also continuing to have the publicly available 2-hour parking. So we'll look at doing that. That's not something that is explicitly defined in this agreement, but obviously we'll work through that separately of this agreement. This is just authorizing me to look at the sale and include the deed restrictions.
One more.
Ms. Frishy.
Last question. You just said we didn't have parking enforcement. We do have parking enforcement on some county properties, so we already know how we handle that, or you're talking new altogether?
No, we already do. So
Okay.
just like in the MCPA parking lot where the county now shifted their parking, the city patrols that. The county doesn't do that. So we patrol it and we ticket it for them and we collect that revenue. In the library lot where county officials park, the city patrols that. So
Okay.
that is something that is already done. There would
So
not
we
be
have
a change in process.
Good.
And the city collects that revenue. And I know there's been questions around what does the fee structure look like if we're going to increase tickets. We've put together some information. We'll be speaking with the chair of the Parking, Streets, and Sidewalk Committee to determine how we want to move forward with that proposal for further discussion.
Other discussion? Mr. Niemeyer.
I think everybody here in city council has probably had the complaint about city parking, not enough downtown parking. So we need to think about that. We gave the parking garage away years ago. Findlay businessman sold it for like $350,000. So it's just something to consider. We need downtown parking.
Mayor.
I appreciate you saying that because I agree we need to continue to look at ways to make sure that we have accessible parking at various spots around downtown to make sure we're supporting our businesses. That's one of the reasons that I explicitly have required the deed restriction to be put in place, because the deed restriction requiring the 22-hour parking spots is the same of maintaining the existing parking that is available to downtown businesses during the weekday. So it will protect the existing amount of parking that is available. And then obviously, as the county moves forward with the ownership, they would determine how those spots are utilized, but they would support downtown businesses and the property owner that would utilize that space.
Other discussion? Since we're kind of covering these both at the same time, who is responsible for maintenance of the lots and maintenance of the areas around them?
So they would be the ownership of the county, so they would be responsible for repaving, plowing, etc., unless they came to an agreement with the city to exchange plowing. We do different agreements throughout the community for plowing, swaps, etc., but at this point in time, they understand that they are responsible for paving, insurance, maintenance, etc. It is theirs, with the deed restriction of protecting the public parking. So from my perspective, it actually helps offset some costs because we won't have to cover insurance. We wouldn't have to repave, but we also will continue to monitor and collect the revenue side.
Mr. DeArmond.
To Councilman Niemeyer's point, do we have a downtown parking master plan? Are we working on that, or what? I don't know.
So parking is always an interesting topic
I know.
because so one, we do have I won't say we have a public downtown or parking master plan. We do have a map which totalizes the amount of parking that we have. We do have a good amount of public parking available. One of the things that we have talked about many times with different entities, Downtown Retail Association, Downtown Findlay Improvement District, different entities, is sometimes people struggle to walk a little bit farther than maybe just parking right out in front. So it is something that we need to continue to look at, but I would say at this point in time, I don't think we have a huge deficit of need. It is certain times of day and or people not wanting to walk farther than a block or two. One of the things that, as we look at changing the fee structure, one of the things I hear from downtown businesses is that because our tickets are only $5, sometimes their employees or maybe employees of other businesses park in front of their businesses and then just pay the fee. That's obviously a problem because they're deterring potential business. So one of the things that we're going to look at is obviously changing the fee structure, but I think then the next step, looking at changing the hours of different parking. So one of the things that we've talked about is 2-hour parking on Main Street and the immediate first block, but then changing 3-hour parking or maybe longer term parking a block or two off, so that if you kind of can push some of the folks that are spending a longer amount of time downtown off of the immediate kind of stop and go, right? If you're just running in real quick, you want to be right in front of the place that you're going. So that's something we're going to look at, but we don't have a study. That's not something we've done a master plan around. Mm-hmm. But I would tell you that, when we talk to you about looking at expanding parking, especially because obviously the county parking lot where the new judicial building is obviously no longer available. We've had to work with our employees, and I know our new municipal lot, talking too much, I'm going to start coughing soon. But the parking garage, for example, is available. I think if we look at increasing the parking ticket cost, that hopefully will push some employees that maybe are working downtown to pay the daily rate of $10 in a parking garage rather than doing what we call the 2-hour shuffle among parking spots downtown. But it's something we're going to continue to keep an eye on. We obviously don't want to be a deterrent from people coming and investing in our town.
Ms. Frishy.
Since we're on all the parking discussion and you kind of touched on it, I know we got an email that the municipal law changed. Is that temporary or that's the new permanent of all reserved spaces? Because I know a lot of people right in that immediate area, going to Coffee Amici, going to the salon, going to the art league, use the city lot plus for court.
It is permanent, however, it's not the entire lot, it's just the around, the
It's a lot of
horseshoe
spaces,
portion of
though.
it. It is, but those are the employees that work within the municipal building that are kind of in and out a lot. There are spots on Crawford Street that people can utilize that are 2-hour parking as well. And as we work with the county, we're hoping that, and the sheriff's office at a couple of different things, we are hoping to move some of the employees that currently are parking on Crawford Street into other locations that will continue to open that up.
And I know that the parking garage, we had the opportunity to taking that back and we didn't because there's a lot of safety concerns there. I would hate to move our employees or encourage people to have them go in there. I think we should be looking at the full parking plan.
Mr. DeArmond.
So, if we have repeat offenders, I mean, does the fine increase?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right.
I don't think it increases like if you do it back to back, 3 days in a row, but it increases. So first 2-hour violations, $5 and $10 and $25. So it compounds each day.
Okay. Very good.
Becomes
That's the way it
cost
should.
prohibitive on
There
a
you
daily
go.
basis.
Good.
Other discussion. I know on this first one on 22, which is the properties north of the river, I think that from just a pure maintenance standpoint, it is in the county's and the city's best interest for that property transfer to happen. I know for me personally, 23, the parking lots is a little bit tough to swallow. And it's tough to swallow because of some of the cooperation that we've had with the county. And I think specifically about the county thumbing their noses at our zoning ordinances that said you don't use EFS building material. They went through their site plan with the back of their building is brick. They went through they wanted to change the material, so they went through the zoning appeals process and the downtown design review process and got denied. And then they just did what they wanted anyway and basically said your rules don't count. And so that's pretty tough to, that's not the spirit of cooperation that they're coming to us with on this one. So I'm very tempted to vote no, although conversations with a councilman earlier today says that we should be bigger than that. And so that's the, based on that conversation, I'll vote yes on 23 on the parking lots also. But it is that one's it's a tough pill to swallow for me, based with the actions of the county commissioners last year. Other discussion, Mayor.
I completely understand that. And I will just add is, I think that the relationship with the commissioners is in a positive trajectory. And as I tell our team frequently is we will continue to come with an open hand to work together. And if folks choose not to, then that shows their approach, not ours. And we'll continue to do what we believe is best for the community as a whole.
Other discussion. All those in favor of ordinance 2025-022, please say aye if your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Nay.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Same thing for the next ordinance, ordinance 2025-23. It was third reading last meeting, postponed till this meeting. And ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute the attached deed and related transfer agreement for same as it pertains to the transfer of parcel numbers 60000924740 and 60000100873 to the Board of Hancock County Commissioners.
Mr. DeArmond.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-023.
Second, Mr. Greeno. Discussion. Seeing as though there is none, all those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-023, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Nay.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
And Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted. Old business. New business. Mayor.
I know you're enjoying me not being able to speak much, but I'm going to try to say a couple of quick things. I hate it. It's terrible. So first of all, again, I'm really proud of our retirements and the folks that are serving our community today. We had the service awards luncheon, and I want to recognize Councilman Niemeyer, who was able to attend and was recognized for 10 years of service to the city of Findlay. Council President Harrington was not able to attend, but he also was recognized for, I think, 15 years. And so we're really fortunate to have great folks serving our community. As Councilwoman Frishy did mention, we're going to have a lot of rain the next couple of days. We are watching closely. We're expecting moderate flooding for both the Blanchard River as well as Eagle Creek. Fortunately, with all of the flood mitigation efforts that have been completed, we're not expecting any issues with property. However, we are expecting some road closures, and because there is potential for the rain to come down so quickly, we do want to encourage folks to watch for flash flooding as well as aerial flooding. There may be water in areas that we're not used to, so we put out a press release earlier today reminding folks to check your sump pumps. It's also going to be high winds, so please bring in things that could fly around. Stay away from high waters. Even an inch of water, standing water, can be hazardous. Downed power lines, obviously avoid. So we did put that on our social media as well as send out a media release. So please share that. We will continue to monitor as the rains come in tomorrow evening. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of break for things to subside, and we're going to watch again Thursday, and then hopefully a little subside, and then again through the weekend. So we'll continue to monitor it. If necessary, we will have sandbags available at this point in time. The projections are that we won't have any property implications, but we'll obviously monitor that and appreciate the teams that will be working diligently to keep our community safe. Additionally, obviously it's April 1st. I don't have any jokes at this point in time, mainly because it's late in the day and I'm tired, but we are looking at the budget, and we'll have a report to you all and potential de-appropriations as we look to manage the budget. And so just keep an eye on that. I will be sending out some reports that hopefully will be beneficial to you all, that we look at as a team. So I think provide a little more insight than just kind of the big budget book, which is great, but maybe a little more detail than sometimes we need to give a comprehensive picture that we look at. And I think that those were the items for me, but appreciate the good work that the City of Findlay team continues to do. I had a wonderful trip to Israel, caught a bug on the way back, which is still lingering and making me pay for it, but it was a really wonderful experience. It was very interesting to be there while the ceasefire ended. Not exactly what I was planning on. So wasn't expecting to have to go into bomb shelters a couple of times while there, but it's a beautiful country, and I think we're very, very fortunate to live in a country that we are, largely safe and aren't having to constantly worry about a bomb alert going out on our phone and having 30 seconds to take shelter. It's something we take for granted. But if you watch 60 Minutes this weekend, I actually met with the father of Tal Babes, and it makes the world seem a whole lot smaller when you're 2 degrees of separation away from someone who was held in captivity and tortured. And so we'll continue to pray and advocate for peace in the Middle East and for the nation of Israel. Happy to, I'm sure I'll be sharing more over the next couple of weeks as I continue to digest my experience, but was very fortunate to be sponsored through the American Jewish Committee and a delegation of mayors to represent our community and meet with generals, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, as well as many other mayors, Palestinian leaders, Arab leaders, Jewish leaders. It's a very unique experience, but I had a great experience and look forward to sharing more about that.
Other new business, Mr. DeArmond?
Auditor Stasiak gave us an email today about the cannabis ordinance. They were petitioning that. Yeah, and I just want to understand what that means, and if you could walk us through what the process is, and I don't know if it's you, Jim, or law director.
I'm not going to walk through the whole process, but there's a great on the Secretary of State's site. There's a great reference guide, and either the law director or I can refer that out to you folks. But basically, when the public feels that they need to review an ordinance that's been passed that wasn't passed emergency or for specific things with regard to expenditures that are required or necessary for running the city, they have the right to referendum or put an initiative on the ballot in the fall in the next general election to see if the public is generally supportive of what you pass. The first step on that is to put the city on notice that they are doing that. And that step is to give me a certified copy of the ordinance that was passed, to file it with my office and say, hey, we're doing that. And then what I've done is I've made it a practice, since this is not the first one that's happened under my tenure, to just notify council as a courtesy that I have received a proper notice. And I generally get wind. You have several in the air right now, but this is the first one that's been formally filed with me. And that's what that was. So those signatures will circulate in the community. Once they're done circulating, they will come back to me, and I do a count, and then I will state that, yes, the proper number of signatures appear to be on the petitions, and then I send them over to the Board of Elections after a certain number of days that people have the right to remove their signature if they are so inclined. And then the Board of Election certifies that those signatures are indeed the signatures that they look to be.
Yeah.
And then if they do that, then I think the steps are taken and we send a formal request, or I send a request to put it on the ballot. So it's one of the interesting things the city auditor has a heavy hand in.
Yeah. So what actually would be on the ballot then? I mean,
Your referendum, the referendum is to undo the legislation, the impact that the legislation would have, as if it was never passed.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Hellman?
Jim, if I may, how many signatures are required?
I believe generally, now don't quote me on this, and I can defer to Rob if he thinks I'm wrong, but I think generally it's 10% of the number of electors in the city in your last gubernatorial. Generally, it's under 2,000, I think, but I don't know the last gubernatorial how many we had, so I don't worry about it until I have to count them, and then I call the Board of Elections, and they send me a letter and say, this is how many you
This is
better
what
have.
need. Does Rob have a comment?
Mr. Feiner?
Dennis, some information I saw from Jody O'Brien, the number is 1,200 and then some. So
Okay.
just a hair over 1,200.
Close enough. Thank you.
Other new business? Mayor?
Well, just one other quick item to mention, since Councilman Wobser is not here. We have scheduled a strategic planning committee for Monday, April 21st at 6 p.m. in the third floor conference room. So just mark your calendars, and then an agenda will follow.
Say that again, please. Monday?
Yeah, Monday, April 21st at 6 p.m. I apologize, it's the Monday after Easter, but that is what worked for the schedule.
What's the agenda item for it? I mean,
We'll update on the strategic plan, most likely talk about community reinvestment area, and the other.
Logo communications. Logo.
Oh yeah, community branding. Thank you.
Other new business, Ms. Warnicki?
Well, it's not really other new business. I was going to go back to the referendum thing. I'm just curious, with all the dates and stuff that we were trying to keep track of, which influenced the vote when we made it. If we know this is coming through, does it stop like someone from coming in that wouldn't want to come in and get kicked back out? And I'll just ask my second question. If they would do that and get that passed, do we have time to go back, because part of why it was passed so that we would only have the two, do we have a time to do a moratorium or whatever again? I mean, do you understand where I'm coming from?
Moratoriums until August.
I know, but the vote's not gonna be till November.
So you do a new moratorium.
If they're successful in getting their signatures and all the proper technical requirements that would need to be perfected, then it's going to be on the November ballot. And so nothing is going to be permitted. It's as if it's no good until that vote in favor of it by the voters happens, or it's turned down by the voters. So in the meantime, there would be nothing. You do have a moratorium that would expire, and now that would prove to be interesting.
That's why I asked the question, to see what maybe we needed to look into. So anyway, just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, hate to ask you legislation questions like this, but if the moratorium ends on August 3rd and we have no zoning in place, what would stop a company coming in on August 4th? There is no longer would be a conditional use process. They would simply go to the state, get their get their permission and go. And they wouldn't go through city planning. So it would be like we have no zoning.
That would appear to be the case, although I will look into it. I think that the what's called the Cannabis Control Board, which is the state of Ohio entity, I have a feeling based on some things that Matt Cordonier and I looked at, that they would probably not do their final approval, knowing that there is a referendum on the ballot that would cause quite a bit of confusion. You would also have an issue with the interested business in putting themselves financially out there and for something to change. I'll look into it. It's a good question because it logistically gets pretty confusing, and it's not something I've necessarily seen before where we've got a moratorium in place that's going to expire.
Ms. Frishy.
But Rob, we could do a new moratorium. That would be effective August through November. I mean, we have legislation we can put in place if the step one is the signatures going to get done, and then if it gets done, we'll know that here. How long? We'll know it in April. We'll know it in May.
You'll know roughly in about 2 weeks.
Well, they have to certify those. So
Yeah,
unless you think Jody has speedy eyes to go through 1,200.
Right. Well, it'll see what it is on its face, but it'll take some time. But I don't want to say something I regret later on, but I think that's a possibility. You could renew the moratorium because that ordinance includes lifting a moratorium that's in place. So I guess you could maybe do a renewal, and then if the voters pass it, that same ordinance lifts the moratorium. I don't know how to reference the numbers because the moratorium that expires is one number and the new one will be a different number. But I'll look into that.
Other new business. On to public communications. We have one tonight from Renee LaGuire in Ward 4 concerning constituent representation. Renee?
Thank you. Honorable members of Findlay City Council, I am here tonight to formally request that my Ward 4 representative, Dan DeArmond, resign from his position on this council. Recently, Mr. DeArmond, along with 3 other individuals, circulated a letter containing many problems, of which I must address 2. First, it falsely labeled concerned citizens or any citizen challenging the status quo, of which I am one, as extremists, obstructionists, and conspiracy theorists. This letter was not just an attack on those of us who believe in transparency, accountability, and responsible governance as conspiracy theorists, but also an attack on the democratic process itself, which leads me to my second problem. The letter states that there are candidates who have been nurtured and developed for city council without experience, begging for their support. I was not aware of a candidate development program To me, this is not representation by the people, but grooming by those already in power. It is an absolute insult to the democratic process, which by nature threatens establishment power holders. With these points in mind, Mr. DeArmond does not represent me, my views, or those of my neighbors. In fact, his words insult and alienate the very people he was elected to serve. Instead of engaging with his constituents, he has chosen to slander and libel them in a desperate attempt to silence any voices who might oppose the established political agenda. By signing his name to this letter, Mr. DeArmond has violated the trust of his constituents and demonstrated a complete disregard for the principles of fair representation. Worse, he has violated the oath he swore to uphold as council member. His job is to serve all residents of Ward 4, not just those who align with his and the establishment's political agenda. I demand that Dan DeArmond resign immediately. Findlay deserves leadership who listens to its citizens, not one that smears and maligns them. If he refuses to step down, I call on the rest of City Council to publicly disavow his inflammatory words and take appropriate action. Our city deserves better. Our ward deserves better. Our democracy deserves better. Thank you. And I do have the letter if anyone would like to read it or listen to it if you haven't already. But I just want, it was very alarming.
Questions for Ms. LaGuardia? Thank you. Seeing as though there is no other business in front of this council, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Ballman, second Mr. Palmer. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.